Bless the Lord, O my soul, blessed art thou, Lord. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name.
As a monastery, we get lots of visitors, especially for our Sunday Divine Liturgy celebration. This past Sunday, we had a rather large group of people. Many of them didn't know each other. They came. There was a family. There were individuals. There were couples, and then we had our celebratory meal following the liturgy, and then Hieromonk Nicodemus did his class in Orthodoxy for those who are catechumens. So it was a full day. One of the things that people wonder often, and they've shared it with us, this wonderment about what are we doing? What's the difference between going to a monastery for Sunday services and going to a parish? Well, one of the key differences is that at a parish, there's going to be a social hour afterwards. Whether it's a meal or just a coffee hour is up to the individual parish, but that's something that people are going to experience. So if what you're looking for is to expand your list of friendships within the Orthodox Church, the parish is a far better place to go. Whenever I have anyone who's interested in becoming Orthodox, I always discourage them from seeing the monastery as the place that should take place, because you're not going to get the sense of community in a monastery that you would in the life of a parish, where you have people like yourself who are working everyday jobs, living in the community, and you need to build up friendships within that community. And that's something that you really can't do in a monastery. A monastery is a place that you go when you want to go inward and enter into the silence and let God do the work in you. On Sundays, when we have our meal in the trapeza, we purposely have a monastic reading, which takes place a good much of the time, when people are in line to get their plates of food, and they're sitting there and they're eating their food and such. We purposely discourage people from simply visiting with the person opposite them, because this is not the place for that. This is the place for interior silence and contemplative prayer. And so if people come to a monastery expecting that's what they're going to get. If they're expecting to network and make new friends and have a sort of a parish experience, they're going to be disappointed, because that's not what we have. That's not what God is calling us to do. So I urge you, especially if you have children, that you need to take your children to church. If there's a Sunday school, they need to be enrolled. If there's a trapeza afterwards with a meal, you need to network with other families that have children your children's age, so that your children can have a bonded relationship and friendship with these other kids, because that's going to make them feel like they really belong. If you don't do that, your kids are going to start looking at the church as something for old people. And they're going to walk away as soon as they are able. I have seen that happen many times in parishes. And I've even seen it happen here at the monastery when we had someone came with their kids because it was difficult to get off island to a service. And her husband wasn't cooperative. And now the kids don't go to church anymore at all. And they're both troubled. And part of the problem, I believe, is that they were not being nurtured in Christian friendships with other kids their age. I want to make it clear that we treasure having families come to the monastery with their children. The children are the future of the church, and as a man who's essentially a grandpa, I love having little children around me. But a monastery is not the place for a family on a regular basis. Families need to network with other families in a parish setting. So if you haven't already found a good parish that fits you and your family's needs, go out and find one. And when you need some silence and some solitude, come to a monastery and enjoy the peace and tranquility of the inner life. May God bless you.
Both now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. Only begotten Son and immortal Word of God,